Hello everyone, we are on, my lighting's a little off tonight. We are on week 15 of our CSA shares. I'm gonna go over what we got in our shares this week, how to store them, and a couple of different ideas on how to use them. Before we get started, two quick announcements. The farm has sauce, pasta sauce, and ketchup for sale. They're both $7, so you can pick those up on your pickup day. Just let whoever's there grabbing your share know that you want them or want either one of them. And they're both made from ingredients straight from the farm. So they're really good. The other announcement is if you're part of our ice cream share and got the chocolate chili ice cream, and it's too spicy for you, it does have spice in it. Obviously it has chilies in it. If it's too spicy, you can cut that spice by adding vanilla ice cream. So cut down the spiciness of it by adding a sweeter ice cream. Obviously vanilla is kind of plain, and we'll cut that spice down a little bit. So a different way to enjoy that if it's a little bit too spicy for you. Okay, we're gonna jump right into what we got this week. We'll start with some old items because those are nice and quick. We got basil. So basil goes on the counter in a glass of water. Basil is great for pestos, pairs really good with tomatoes. I love to throw a bunch of leaves into my dressings, my vinaigrettes. Tends to turn them a little bit green, but it's super flavorful. You can add basil to different cocktails. You can make freezer cubes. So if you have a lot of basil, I just made a big, huge batch of pesto this past week to use up the basil I had left. And now I have this new batch of basil that I can use throughout the week. And then whatever I have left, I'm probably just gonna puree and freeze to make freezer cubes. So that is our basil. We have red beefsteak tomatoes. So the tomatoes are kind of coming to a close. We're done with plums, we're done with cherries. We've been done with heirlooms, so we still have some of the red beefsteaks left. Tomatoes get stored on the counter, not in the fridge. And just kind of keep an eye on them. As they start to get a little bit softer, you're definitely gonna wanna use them. These are delicious, just sliced. You can put them on burgers, you can put them on sandwiches, you can slice them and make a caprese salad. Pairs really well, like add our fresh basil. This week's recipe is gonna showcase a lot of various items throughout the share. It's kind of a versatile recipe, so stay tuned for that on Thursday, but you will be able to use tomatoes and basil and peppers and zucchini and things like that, so stay tuned for that. But these are on the counter, great, obviously fresh. If you are done with tomatoes, you've had too many tomatoes throughout the season, then cook them up, puree them. I did that with a big batch of sauce. You can make the roasted cherry tomato sauce that was posted at the beginning of tomato season this time around. You can actually make that with any tomatoes. So you can just cut these up and use them for that as well. Okay, so that's our tomatoes. We received red onions, so a different variety of onions. These are cured, so they're gonna be stored in a cool, dry place. Red onions, I love raw, sliced really thin on salad. They would go really good if you sliced up your tomatoes and did a really thin slice of the red onion in like a tomato and onion salad. They're great roasted. They're great on sandwiches. You can do a sheet pan meal and use these as well. So those get stored in a cool, dry place. We also got garlic, cool, dry place. This is cured. Garlic I use in just about everything I possibly can. Garlic is probably one of my favorite things. And I tend to double or triple how much garlic I put in things because I love it. So this can be used in salad dressings. It can be used in roasted vegetables, grill packets. You can roast the whole head of garlic and use it that way. So lots of different ideas there. Okay, we have peppers. So we have our green peppers. These get stored in the crisper drawer of our fridge. We also have sweet peppers. So lots of varieties, tend to be either orange or red. These get stored in the crisper drawer as well. Both can be eaten raw or can be roasted, sauteed, used in stir fries, grilled. So some options there. And our last of the peppers, we were able to pick 3 hot peppers. I'm probably not going to remember all of them that were available, but we had poblanos and jalapenos, and I think serranos, cherry bombs. The really hot ones I always forget. I think there were actually habaneros. If you really like spice, you could have grabbed a few habaneros. These get stored in the crisper drawer of our fridge along with the other peppers. You can use these to add spice to any dish. So if you don't want them as spicy, then you're gonna de-seed them and remove the inside membranes, just using the outside skin. That's gonna be your least spicy version of any of the peppers. If you want full spice, so if you're adding spices to, let's see, taco dishes or salsas, we have a lot of ingredients for salsas. You can do, you can add peppers to your salsa. You can add the onions and the garlic and the tomatoes, and then you can add spice with your hot peppers. So that's an option as well. We received 6 ears of corn. These are best stored the way they are in the fridge. They're gonna be best eaten within the next few days because they're freshest. Over the course of the next week, the sweetness of the corn will switch to starch, so it'll become more starchier towards the end of the week. You can cook these, if you soak them in water like this, you can actually cook them on the grill just as is in the husk and then pull the husks off after you grill them. Or you can husk them now, remove the corn from the corn cob, and you can saute it in a pan. You can boil them. You can also eat the corn raw, so the corn does not have to be cooked. So these are stored in the fridge with the husks on if possible. Okay, we have shishito peppers. So we got to pick these. We have a quart. They 1 in 10 are hot, so just be careful, or spicier. There's a variety of different heat that you'll have when eating them. If you still have shishitos from last week, you can freeze these. So just wash them, dry them, throw them in a freezer bag. Then you obviously want to cook them. They won't be as crisp when you cook them. But if you, like, I still have my batch from last week that I haven't used yet, so I'm actually gonna do a big batch of blistered shishitos. Those are really good. So we got to pick those, and then we also got to pick edamame. So we got 2 quarts of the edamame. These are nice fat pods. So we have the beans on the inside. I like to steam these or boil them. Just do a quick boil, a quick steam. They'll change color. They'll turn a little bit of a different color, and that's how you know they're done. You can also squeeze them, and the inside bean will pop out. So if you do that, you can use that. You can serve them like this, sprinkle a little, once they're steamed and boiled, serve them like this just as a snack with some sea salt. Or you can actually pop out the beans and use them in like a salsa. You can use them as a side for a dish. Lots of options there. These get stored in the fridge in a plastic bag or a container. I'm just gonna leave them in the container I have them. Same with the shishitos. I don't think I mentioned that. So those are stored in the fridge, in the plastic bag or a plastic container. Okay, just a couple things left. We have dandelion greens. Our dandelion greens can be a little bit bitter. So if you don't like, a lot of people like the bitterness. If you don't like the bitterness, then take these and soak them in salt water for about 10 minutes, and that bitterness will be lessened. These are great sauteed. You can make a dandelion green pesto out of them. The dandelion greens pair really well with eggs, I think. You can eat them raw as well. So you can do a little bit of lemon juice, a little bit of olive oil, some salt and pepper, and just make a salad out of it. That works also. So these get stored in the fridge, and I like to use my Debbie Meyer green bags because then it lasts a little bit longer. So definitely in a plastic bag so that it keeps the freshness of the greens. We have summer squash. There are 3 varieties depending on what your share had. So this is our yellow summer squash. We have zucchini, and this is our Romanesco. This one happens to be a little bit bigger. So you can slice these and just grill them. You can slice them and saute them. You can roast them. You can turn them into noodles, which is one of my favorite things to do. And then I just like to do a quick blanch and throw some fresh sauce on top. You can actually, you don't have to cook them. You can use the zoodles in a salad as well. We've go back to a couple of the different recipes throughout the season. There's a pickled summer squash recipe that you could do with these if you haven't tried those yet. You could do, there's a lot of vegetables that would work really well for like a shish kebab, a skewer. So we've got the peppers, the onions, these. So you could do skewers on the grill as well. I like to grill a lot to keep the heat out of the kitchen in the summertime. Okay, 2 more items. We have, and these are both new this week, we have acorn squash. So acorn squash gets stored in a cool, dry place. Summer squash gets stored in the fridge. I think I forgot that. So the acorn squash, these need to be cooked. So I like to just slice them in half, de-seed them, put a little butter on them, and roast them. That's my favorite way to eat them. And then you can serve like a little bit of cinnamon on top of them. You can also roast them, cook them, and scoop out the puree and then freeze that if you're not ready to use it right now. These should last about a week or 2, but they aren't as hearty as our like spaghetti squashes and some of the squashes we're gonna get as we hit the fall season. So you definitely wanna use these within probably the next 2 weeks. But they're a great side, just roasted. You could probably grill them as well. Slice them and grill them. That would be a yummy side dish for a protein. So that's our acorn squash stored in a cool, dry place. Last item we have is our fingerling potatoes, and this was our veggie spotlight for the week. So these cute little potatoes do not need to be peeled. They are not like our new potatoes because we don't store them in the fridge. They're best stored in like a plastic, or not a plastic bag, a paper bag in a cool, dry place. Don't peel them. You can leave the peels on, so just wash them. You can cook them whole, like this one's pretty tiny, or you could slice them in half. They're really good roasted, they're good sauteed. You can make grill packets with them, so lots of options there. But they're super tasty for a potato. All right, so I believe that's it. If there are any questions, please let me know on any of the items this week. Also, if you're struggling with any of your items left over from last week, focus on using that stuff up first, and then take a look at what you have this week and start to meal plan and figure out what you're gonna use the different items for from this week. Probably the first item you're going to wanna use from this week would be the dandelion greens. So those are the item that you're gonna wanna use first. The Debbie Meyer green bags, if you have those do help our greens last a little bit longer. Your red onions and your garlic are going to last the longest. The acorn squash will last about at least this week into next week. Just keep an eye on it. And then try thinking of snacks. What can you cut up if you're not using it in a recipes. So like your peppers, your green peppers, your tomatoes, things like that. Okay, so I will see you guys all next week for week 16. If you have any questions, just hop on the Facebook group and I will help answer them.